Spent our first days of RubyConf Summer of Code by creating and importing our keys to send encrypted emails to each other. So, and this is actually also the problem which is there nowadays, or which is there. So it's when you want to have encrypted communication, you have to care about it yourself and you have to set it up. So and this is where Leap comes to place, basically, because they want to make encryption widely available and easy to use. And this is done by using proven technology, but also polishing them and creating the missing parts. So for example, having the part of Leap which cares about email encryption, you, as a non-profit organization, for example, they set up Leap, and then the members using then the provider from the non-profit organization will then send the emails and they will be automatically encrypted. So that's, for example, one part Leap does. So, but until we got to that part that we actually understood this, it also took us some time. So our first weeks of RubyConf Summer of Code looked a little bit like this. So it took us some time, and we were like, we saw all the other teams pulling and pushing and contributing, and we were still be like, okay, so what was Leap about again? I don't really understand. So, but yeah, we wanted to get coding and we wanted to start at some point. So we thought of a project we could do and thought, okay, let's at least start with something. And the part we would be working on was the Leap web app. So that's a screenshot and it's a Ruby on Rails application. And we thought, okay, let's start with something. And this something we wanted to start us with showed us down the rabbit hole, because it just showed us the depth of coding, and it also now ended up to be our ending project. So what it was is the Twitter feature, or we wanted to have the tweets shown on the web app, and we wanted to have a secure way for this. So we ended up using the Twitter Ruby gem. And we also, for example, created a script in Ruby using the option parser, which then can be talked into the terminal to create the Twitter token to use the application in the end. And we also made sure not to reach the Twitter rate limit, which we struggled with in the beginning a lot, and only have the API call at one position. So that's basically what we did, and you might, for you it would have only taken a couple of days. For us it took the RubyConf Summer of Code, and we are really proud that we actually made it work, and we now know the Twitter documentation very well. And so we learned a lot. But actually the biggest learning was the atmosphere and the attitude we experienced, not only from the RubyConf Summer of Code community, but also by our hosting company SoundCloud. So that's basically a little bit my shout out. So I want to encourage all of you to also bring out this atmosphere and attitude, that there's the chance that everybody can ask whatever question they want to ask. Because we experienced this, and I'm really grateful, or we are really grateful for the patience we experienced from all the people who kept us telling, ask whatever you feel like asking. So, but we are not only one team here, so Ruby Secret will continue with their experience.
Hi everyone. As Marie has mentioned, I'm Mayar from Egypt. I'm a computer engineering student, and being a student in RubyConf Summer of Code 2016 was the highlight of my 21 years old. So, I'm standing here today because I wanted to share with you our experience in RGSOC. Actually, everything was beyond our expectations. So, I want to begin with a story that when I was at Nada's home preparing for the interview of RGSOC, and just my heart was beating so fast, just like now. and all what I was thinking of was running away. Okay, sorry. Running away, sorry. Because I was so afraid. The whole thing was so new to me, and I didn't want to come out of my comfort zone. So, but then I told myself, just for once, be strong. They are not going to bite you. And I decided to stay, and actually this decision brought me here. But actually, reaching the milestone of the interview was a great achievement for us. A few months before we applied to RGSOC, when we first heard about it, we had no idea what Ruby on Rails is. And actually, the only Ruby in my life was Ruby, the Egyptian actress and singer. So when we checked out the projects of Rails Girls on 2015, we decided that we should learn Ruby on Rails. So we learned, but not that much, because we were always busy in our college doing assignments and projects. But we learned. Okay. Then after that, the application process started, and we were in the middle of our midterm exams, and we found out that in order to apply, we had to have 2 local coaches. We felt a little bit down because we didn't know where to start finding coaches, where to find people who are willing to help us. But after some days of disappointment, our teacher assistant and our remote coach just helped us, and we sent some emails to people who may want to help us, but we got no response. Until 2 days before the deadline, 2 coaches agreed to help us, and we applied successfully. After that, when the summer of code began, we found ourselves lost among so many concepts. We were always frustrated and felt like we're not achieving enough because we didn't understand the true goal of RGSOC. In RGSOC, you should focus more on learning more than anything, and you should in the second half of the summer, we became more organized. We became more organized, and we focused on some concepts and dig deep onto them, and just passed quickly over others. And that's it. The last thing that I want to say, that the best thing about RGSOC is that help is always available when needed. But for RGSOC's team support technically and morally, we wouldn't have had that amazing summer. So thank you. And now Marie is going to share some ideas with you. Thank you.
Okay, so now after you got to know what the projects were about and how the experience went, I just wanted to share some personal experience for myself, because I thought that was very a very strange and interesting thing that occurred to me. So I'm a social scientist. For the last 6 years, I studied stuff like social inequality or social phenomena like violence or political institutions. So this was my research that I was doing. And in 2015 in spring, I participated in a Rails Codes Beginners workshop in Berlin, and I started to get into coding and dive into concepts of programming. And then what happened to when I was at birthday parties or family gatherings, and before I always said like, okay, what are you doing? And my response was, I'm a social scientist. I'm doing stuff like I just said. And they were like, okay, interesting. What are you gonna do with this? And they gave me like a general feeling of that it might be interesting, but it's kind of useless what you're doing. And it's not a very, like, more or less, in a way that there is no future prospect. Like, you cannot do anything with it, you won't be rich, you won't get money. So this was a feeling like, overall, not encouraging at all. And then after, in 2015, I started to say like, well, actually, I got into coding, and now I'm interested in digital sociology, I'm interested in digital rights, I'm teaching encryption tools, and people like opened their eyes and they're like, wow, that's really cool. And they gave me a feeling that this is really something that is like something really useful. So what I thought is that many people assume that programmers are human beings with superpowers. And although this really was like an ego boost for me, and I felt like, wow, I'm so smart, and just like telling them, just the word code seems to be magic for some people. But then I thought, actually, I'm interested in the interactions between technologies and societies. And I want to continue learning to code. I want to become a serious and professional programmer. But I think that social sciences, nevertheless, are very important, and it's going to be even more important in future to look at the intersections of two disciplines or maybe more disciplines. So I want to tell you that, or I want to maybe ask you to help demystify this picture of the programmer. And I know that it's a good feeling that you get the reactions, that you get the responses, but I know that there's also other disciplines who are very important, and I think you can really contribute to a more open culture if you say like, I'm not a person with superpowers. You can learn it yourself. You can look at the technologies yourself. You don't need someone who translates it to you, because technologies will have a bigger impact day to day, and I think this is a very valuable idea, maybe. So now there's Nada, who will talk about, also have a shout out. Yeah.
Well, first, hi, amazing crowd, hi. My name is Nada Salama. I'm a computer engineering student and RubyConf student. I'm a cake baker and decorator. So I'm gonna talk to you about our next step, Maya and I. Well, first, we needed to make a better experience for teams applying from Egypt next year and the next year and the future. So, as the great granddaughters of the beautiful Queen Nefertiti, we're starting to work. We took action. We contacted the Egyptian startup Robusta. Robusta is one of the very few startups in Egypt that actually works using Ruby on Rails. So we contacted them to become our coaching company. Our coaching company in Rails Girls Summer. Sorry, in Rails Girls Cairo. Something that was going to be created from scratch. Only one session was given in 2013, and now, 3 years, we're reactivating it. And actually, we do need your support. So, if you have any advice for us, support, even just encouragement, we created the hashtag 1 year, 100 women. Of millions and millions in Cairo, it's still a tough job to get 100 women into tech. So this is our goal for the next year. And starting right now, Billy, our year begins right now. But how about making this even a more extraordinary year? Sounds interesting? When we were applying for the conferences in RG Talk, one of the organizers contacted us. Said, "Oh, why didn't you apply in a conference in your country?" Well, there are no conferences in our country. That's a problem. So, again, being in this event, we want to take the step, invite every single one of you, organizers, speakers, attendee, to the RubyConf Egypt 2017, and let's make the next year, 2017, one extraordinary year. Well, there are a couple of good reasons, actually, the kind of formal reasons, to get to RubyConf Egypt. Well, first, you get to be the first in the region. This is like the first ever event of its own kind. Second, you get to discover hidden talents and unleash endless potentials. Lastly, you get more women involved in tech, which is for Mayar and I, it's our main goal, and get them involved in the tech community. Well, sounds too formal. I know. Well, if these reasons were not good enough, then just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, this, yeah, someone play. I can play it. Wait, it's not playing. It's not playing. Can someone help? No. Until the video starts, ladies and gentlemen, this.
Take out full screen.
Yeah. Okay. Again.
Maybe it works as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Egypt.
عيشها وصورها على هاشتاج This is Egypt وخلي العالم يعرفها زي ما انت شايفها.
RubyConf Egypt 2017. Yay! Nada, Mayar, Marie, Tia, these are on contacts. If you need any further detail about any of these topics, you can contact us through GitHub, Twitter. Pretty much that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.